Welcome to another episode of Angels, Positivity, and Love. Absolutely fantabulous experts the world over with incredible insights. They've all been through their own personal transformative journey. And I know that's all of us technically, but some folks have had near-death experiences. The record is five. Doctor in Canada, including a plane crash that gets detailed in the middle of a blizzard in that episode. She survived. Not everybody on the plane did. The other two records would be three near-death experiences for two others. We've had a White House physician to the US president, another doctor who does refugee or disaster assistance all over the globe with seven different, projects going on at once, whether it's earthquakes, tsunamis, and so on. We have psychologists, healers of all different type of backgrounds, a yoga champion, folks who have been to India for specific purposes, just amazing folks. And we're super small, but super graced to have just such an amazing caliber of people who are not just experiencing, they're turning around and sharing and giving service to others. And that's exactly who we have coming on today, joining us from California. Kia Miller is wonderful, a light. She spent time in India. She does yoga in a way that allows others to open up, not just experiencing yoga, but to experience the interconnectedness of all. She's a wonderful teacher. I've got goosebumps all over. I'm just thrilled to have her here and to have met her today. Kia, welcome to the show, Angels, Positivity, and Love.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm just purely delighted just to be sitting here with you in your presence.
Well, tell us, how did this all start? You're the first person I've ever met who was raised on the Falkland Islands, and the Falkland conflict happened right around when you were age 13 or so. That must have been a huge thing. But did you start off with an incredible connectedness to nature?
I did. That's exactly it. Nature was my first love, nature and animals. And there was a whole family of like spirit beings that my dad used to point out to me in the mountain that we were living on the side of. And so I always had this connection as well with these invisible beings. Uh, and I felt the presence of I felt the presence of, I would say, God, I guess, from a very young age. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Did you get to have conversations? Did you accidentally get to see one of them one time? Did you ever see colors or something out of the corner of your eye? Or did you get help some way or just feel good when you went for a walk or horse riding?
It was a presence. It was a presence that I could feel, that sense of never really being alone, that something was with me. And I think it lasted probably up until around uh that disturbance of the Falklands War. Um and then I think things shifted, but then I was also coming into my teenage years, and I think that shifted things as well. Yeah.
Did you do the most you could as a proper teenager to push it as far away as possible to know better? And then when did everything come back to you full force? When did you get an interest in heading off to India, yoga, and everything else?
I would say it came back to me. Well, I would say that my dad passed when I was 14 and a half. Uh, and the night that he passed, he communicated to me. I was asleep, but it wasn't a dream. And he just said to me, "It's okay. I'm okay." And so I knew he was okay. And I didn't grieve for him because I knew he was okay. I went through my own challenge because then I was alone. I was trying to figure out where I would go, and would I be with my aunt and uncle? Was I going to be with my grandparents? I was trying to figure that out. So that was challenging, but uh, yeah, that was the beginning of my spiritual journey in earnest. Hmm.
I love it. And what part of you was part of you at all judging it like most of us would, or were you already pretty calm about it just because of the prior experience on the Falkland Islands?
For some reason, I never judged it. I I remember really feeling that presence. Then I went to boarding school at like 7 or 8, and then I was really infiltrated or infused with a lot of uh more church Christian beliefs. And so then I lost my connection. But from that night, I realized that there was something more than I could see. And then later, I didn't tend to that too much for some years. And then later, when I was in London and I'd started modeling, and I went to see this incredible medium, and she shared with me that he well, she brought his presence to me. Sorry, I have suddenly noise happening outside. I hope that you don't hear too much, but it got distracting a moment. But yes, so I could just say in short, he was the initiator of that journey for me.
Okay, now take us post London or post modeling or next stage. When did you do the deep dive into spirituality, yoga, becoming a teacher, some of those India trips? Did it take one of the trips to India to pop something else open?
Um, well, I had a challenging time in my teens, and so I think for me the big boon was to do Ashtanga practice, which I did in London, which really got me in my body because I came to realize that I was dissociating a lot. I wasn't handling my emotions. So so obviously it's hard to feel the subtle if you're dissociated. So that was an incredibly healing journey for me doing Ashtanga yoga. Then when I moved to Los Angeles, I got into Kundalini yoga, and I started to have experiences that were taking me to other realms and places within myself. And I started a really uh, quick process of healing and growth that was beyond the beyond for me. And it really started with the Kundalini practices, activating my navel point, having experience beyond all of my projections of self that I'd been living under, and actually feeling my soul. And then realizing, wow, this is who I am. And then wanting to do anything that I could to keep that path going. And Kundalini yoga and all of its weirdness really works with the pranic body, really helped me to realign, raise my frequency, shift my state so that I could start to be different, literally be different in my life. Yeah.
Before we keep going, you just mentioned some amazing like topics to ask next about or explore. But can you talk to us about it's almost an intersection with everybody out there, being in your body, being more in your body in a way, isn't that the cause of a lot of our difficulties or the rub with society or what we're experiencing daily is not being in our bodies enough? But can you discuss this your way?
Yes, I think it is the rub because mind body connection. I mean, for me as a yogi, I've dedicated my life to yoga. I've studied yoga. It is my life. And yoga means union, and that is an integrated state of mind, body, energy, soul. So mind and body have to connect. And I think that when we're so mentally focused and our minds are living in the future or the past, it's hard to have that connection in the body. Or if we don't have a way to process our emotions, then we can often get kicked out of the body because of the emotions, or we can put a lot of energy into suppressing them, which, creates all kinds of dis-ease in the long run. So for me, getting into the body, having a mind body practice is so important. I think that athletes experience this as well because they're really merging mind and body, and they start to access, that in the zone flow state. And for me, that comes through yoga as well. That facilitates then definitely a connection to deeper self, intuitive mind. Um, yeah, being in flow in life rather than being in struggle.
And can you take a moment to describe how you touch others? You help them awaken to their own already existing self or being. But can you take it from there and explain how you've touched so many so far?
Um, well, I think that, you know, I work hard in many ways. Maybe I don't. I don't know. My perception is that I have to work for things. Like I came from a stiff body. I really had to work into finding my flexibility. I came from a dissociated state. I really had to work hard to learn what energy felt like. It just wasn't there for me. Uh, and I really had to work hard to access a meditative state. I know probably most of us do, but for me, I feel like a lot of the gifts that I get to share have come through my own direct experience and the fact that it didn't come easy to me. And because it didn't, I can speak to the challenges and the difficulties on the path as well as the joys and the boons. So I guess that's one of the things that I feel like has helped me as a teacher is that I can share from my step by step kind of slow process of evolution and then inspire others to do the same.
If 20 students come into the room and some of them are going to talk and tell you where they're at, is it just by hearing how they're talking that you begin to know from so much experience and time, not which bucket they fall into, but which category of resistance they're, where on the curve of resistance are they versus letting go and being in the heart? Or is it also visual, or is it all the above? You can just tell by their postures or lack of posture. Can you talk to us about how that's a very subtle part of your existence as a teacher, Yogini?
Oh, for sure. I love the way you described all that. I would say it's all of that. So I was at the dentist yesterday and a woman came in and she was in her victim mode and she just was complaining and she was came all the way into the bathroom and she did a like a as she got in there and I could just feel the heaviness of mind. But the joy for me was then later when she came back into the room, I could feel the shift in her that she had decided that she was going to respond differently. Something must have happened in her time, sitting alone in the bathroom when she came out, she was different. And I could see, oh, she's made a decision. She wants to be positive right now. So yeah, I'm reading that kind of thing all the time. Tone of voice, body language, the way everything is in there, the way we place our mat, whether we choose eye contact or not, all of it. It's subtle, right?
Now, have you put this down into writing yet anywhere?
No.
I didn't say anymore. Okay, tell us something else about how the trajectory from a business standpoint, how has it gone? How did your current setup evolve? What were some ebbs or the flows? Where have you had the most fun and satisfaction? What would you like to share?
Ah, wow. Well, I think first of all, I feel blessed from the first moment that I decided to take on yoga as my profession. And I was earning a lot of money in my career before that, and it was going to be a big dip, but I wanted to be able to teach yoga so that I could do it all the time, study it all the time, and never have to feel guilty about it. And I didn't really even, I couldn't have believed where it would go. But I followed the rules that I was given at the time, which was show up, be consistent, be present, keep showing up no matter. And so that's what I was doing. I was just showing up every day that my class was. I'd stopped traveling, which I used to travel a lot, and I stayed really consistent. And that allowed me to build a community of people. And we were having a lot of fun together, and a lot of growth. And then that turned into retreats. And then that turned into teaching at Yoga Journal Conference and festivals. And then that turned into teaching the teacher training for Yoga Works, where I used to work, which I loved. And then that turned into developing my own teacher training once I realized that I needed to expand and teach different things. And and then there came that point of recognizing that everything that I wanted to teach, I had to access from within. So that was an interesting turn too. I was like, okay, I've studied and studied and studied. Now I have to experience, 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 and let that experience be the guiding force. So then that was the next phase. And then everything, well, in 2012, I took my teachings online through Yoga Glow, and that was enormous and fun. And I loved the people and I loved working with them. And I've always felt when I'm teaching online that I can just look through the camera eye and that I'm in a realm beyond space and time, and that I'm with whoever is going to be there, no matter when that is in the space-time continuum. And that was always natural and exciting to me to do that. So when COVID happened, my all of my business went online, and that's just been delightful. I've really found how much connection we can create through the subtle unifying field of consciousness. And I feel like in so many ways it's developed my own capacity to hold on that scale rather than just a room, but to hold out into the field of all those who are paying attention in the moment, and also to help others to develop that connection. And to me, that feels like such a huge part of the healing of the world right now, of the world, of the people in the world, is if we can start to tap into each other through the unified field of consciousness and sense the interconnectedness, the non-separation. We literally are all one, many points of consciousness in one giant, womb of life. And I really get excited about that. And I love teaching what I'm teaching, and I love all of the experiences that people are having from the teachings. I don't take responsibility for that. All I'm doing is sharing tools that I've learned, holding space, and I'm like an energetic cheerleader for everybody. Like you can do it. Go past that, or, holding the space. And so the shares that I have in my trainings when people are, having an experience and sharing it, it's just truly extraordinary, um, to feel the depth and breadth of the human condition, how extraordinary people are, what access your everyday person has to subtlety and to connecting to soul consciousness. That just is so exciting to me. I get very lit up.
Can you talk to us about the difference in flows or unflow and flow or unlove and love? If it's thinking, unconsciousness, judging, fear-based stuff, reacting, rejecting, resisting up here versus just timelessness, no limits, consciousness, awareness, grow your awareness, not your thinking. Can you talk to us about the difference in flows and how that's part of the education that somebody gets working with you?
Mm. Well, I kind of look at it as, the pure luminous mind that we're born with, that's a reflection of pure consciousness. And then the acquired mind that we gather, all of the programs that we gather in the subconscious mind about our likes, our dislikes, our pains, our suffering, our coping mechanisms. Um, so the acquired mind, I think, is the one that is in the realm of trying to figure things out. And not everything about the acquired mind is negative, this good and this uh challenging. The helpful stuff and that is the part that where we have a trained capacity to figure things out, you know? And then the negative is obviously the spinning wheel of the mind, where it's bitten onto something and it's just churning away with mental, emotional, story. And so I think at the heart of everything I'm teaching is two things. It's raising your frequency so that you can arrive at a place of nice, coherent, full, vibrant energy where the mind is naturally in its luminous nature and the acquired mind is quiet. So there's that part. And then there's the learning how to work with the acquired mind so that when you slip into uh, unconsciousness, you can catch yourself more and more quickly. And you can begin the process of slowly, removing those acquired beliefs, conditions, thoughts, feelings, and live more in your pure, radiant self. And it's a process. And I know this from my own practice that the thing we have to watch about is the thing we have to watch for is when we think we know. Because when we think we don't know, because there's always more to know in this infinite universe. So that keeps me humble too. I'm always recognizing, wow, I'm just scratching the surface and I'm having a lot of fun doing it. So I guess that's the main thing.
Speaking about fun, India.
Oh
Tell us
yeah.
one trip, two trips, highlights. What was it like your first time going there?
Wow, my first time is in 1999. I went with this collection of people. I was a documentary filmmaker at the time. I went to make a documentary about this global dance party for peace called Earth Dance that my closest friend, Chris Decker, had created. And it had been so successful in raising awareness and money for Support Tibet that the Dalai Lama had invited us all to go to India. Like when I say us, it was 30 party promoters from all different parts of the world, Chris and myself. And so that was the context with which I went to India first. I was on a rickshaw. I was given uh, a sugarcane juice. And so by day 3, I was miserably sick and trying my best to film and stay on point. And it was one of those journeys of really feeling uh wow, like India is an experience. It's the surrender that comes when you're sick that can actually, I think, bring you to one of the most sweetest places of surrender and receptivity. And then the enormity of the spiritual vibe there. It's truly, I mean, this was Dharamsala, but I spend a lot of time in northern India and I'm always blown away. It's the constant wherever there's culture, wherever there's people, there's a there's a visual representation of the divine. There's something that's reminding you that they're aware of the divine in their own way. And so I love my journeys to India. So that first one had everything. It had the moment where I was filming and the Dalai Lama was way off over to one side. I was filming, but I looked out from behind the camera and he just turned and he locked eyes and then he turned away. It was like he just recognized that moment and it was extraordinary. And anyway, so many of those. And one last thing, that journey, we asked him, we had an interview and we asked him what his definition of wisdom is. And he said, wisdom is to use human creativity towards positive humanitarian aims. That was his definition. So that was like a gem that I think I took at least from that trip.
On another trip, have you been to an ashram or temple?
I've been to many.
Okay. Can you share some experiences, just the flavor of even setting foot on the property or just your experiences? Or did you have anything happen where you're like, whoa, what was that? My spider sense went off, and this is definitely more than I was expecting in a beautiful way. Could you share something there?
Yes. I mean, I've been to many, many temples and I've always been instructed, that to be there for 30 seconds or 3 hours, it doesn't matter. The energy you recognize as you have the moment. So I've been to many temples, more sort of uh I don't want to say tourist because it's deeper than that, but at the same time, without a deep connection to the temple. But then in Khajuraho, where there's 1100-year-old beautiful tantric temples, there's a shrine dedicated to the 64 yoginis, which are like aspects of creative consciousness, if you like, the Divine Mother. And I've sat in that shrine and I sit and meditate in there. So it's deep, it's still, it's personal. And I feel the energy teaching me. The energy teaches me. She's spoken to me. Um, that's really the place I feel like I've had the deepest merger experience and really recognized no separation. Um, she's completely, I've had moments in there where I've been sitting for an hour and a half, and then all of a sudden I'm so clear that I have to leave. Sometimes my ego wants to stay. No, more, more. I want more. And then it's like the door has closed now. You have to go out and be in the world and you've got to go interact. And so that's always a good teaching for me too, because I love the inner world. And it's one of my favorite places to go.
Can you share with us the inner world or the outer world or the universe? I guess big picture is love the fabric of the universe, but then can you paint with brush strokes, broad or fine strokes, how you view some of the divine figures or unconditional love beings of light that are here to help us in any which way you feel comfortable sharing? But we're not alone in the universe, and we're certainly not the only casino on the Vegas Strip, are we? Mankind and human beings with our thinking and our currency called knowledge that limits possibility. That seems to be the big currency today.
I feel like I'm aware of so many, and I'm open to all of them. I don't have, and I have synchronicities and things that are happening constantly in my life. In terms of seeing, not so much. That's not been my experience, but I can feel presence and I'm alert for the signals that I'm getting. I get whispers of, you know, things that I know, oh, that where's that coming from? Was that my deeper self or was that a little guidance? But I know it's not the acquired mind stuff. It's coming from a different place. I try to keep myself as open as possible.
So figures from India, classic figures, either passed over humans or teachers that way, or the more deity-like ones, angels might exist, and other beings of light. Awesome. Can you share with us a time, and I'm going to have you just jump around to wherever, that there might have been a being of light, an angel helping you out in human form? When you look back, or for months afterwards, it was that sparkly eyed stranger who said just what you needed to hear. You had the flat tire. There are many classic stories. Do you have one of those or a few of those you might consider sharing?
Oh, gosh. Mm. I mean, I feel that my life has definitely been blessed. It's just been blessed. I just recently had a thought of drawing something towards me that was for my highest good that I'd never thought about. And then later that day, I got invited to go teach somewhere with somebody that I would never have thought about. And it was extraordinary. So things like that happen for me for sure. Um, yeah.
I love it. We do blow sage on these shows, and that's for anybody who isn't familiar with the show. We can get very interactive. It's really up to the guest. Sometimes I completely forget. There's at least two times that I've forgotten, and we've had two or three or four guests that just it wouldn't have been right. We're talking more at the normal way we do an interview. But I'm going to light some sage and blow it to you. Folks at home, it could be 2030. You're in Tokyo, Berlin, Christchurch, it doesn't matter. All you have to do is allow and catch a little bit of sage smoke. Set your intent. Ask the universe angels to make it nice, get you out of your head into your heart, whatever way you want to own it with a thank you or anything else like that. You just have to be in your heart to smell it. Kia, are you ready to get a little bit of sage in California from Texas?
I love it. Please
I'll
bring
even
it
turn
on.
the lighter the right way so I can light it. Okay, here we go. Some people taste it, that's okay, but ask just to keep it as a smell. If anybody wants to go crazy, why settle for the linear when you can have flowers, ocean, or extra? I don't know what the extra is. You ask for your extra. You're the only one who can do the asking. That's for the audience. Okay, here's the sage, red-tailed hawk feather I found on a trail thanks to some Native American chiefs. And we'll just allow with capital A's because everyone's getting an A plus right now. And are you catching a little sage where you're at in the room? Awesome. If you don't mind asking for something you didn't know you were going to get, can you spin the twister wheel and let the universe, angels, Durga, Divine Mother, some really cool folks from India surprise you? What are you getting next? No pressure, by the way. And for the audience, we'll take that as she's enjoying it right now. Do you get a little extra?
I love it.
Okay,
Yes.
good. While you weren't looking, I was blowing on the smoke. So if you happen to play this back in the future, I was active looking like that, blowing.
I felt like we went to the fairyland of Avalon.
I love it. And why don't I put up two figures? I'll put up a joy and I'll put up Sai Baba or Anandamayi Ma for just a suggestion of a topic that we hadn't touched upon. Like, for example, joy and delight and just letting go and letting your heart lead the way. Here's Joy and Angel, his unconditional love on everyone's team. Hear a little whisper and get a topic that you're like, oh, yes, we should talk about that.
Radiance.
Oh, yes, let's talk. I'll do the Tibetan word. I think I can do it. Ziji,
Oh,
Z-I-J-I. So if there's like 5 Tibetan words, and I even did it right, 5 Tibetan words, I know that would be one. So let's talk about radiance, brilliance, ZG, whatever you want.
what's your feeling of radiance? What's your what?
Well, it would be like a vortex of butterflies out of that mirror coming out from the universe. What could be higher and more fun? If anybody wants to see that, we've had 2 guests see a stream of butterflies coming through. If you've got a stream of butterflies, could it get any better than that? And that would be my definition of radiance or brilliance, unless you're on the beach somewhere looking at the Mediterranean and you see all those sparkles that are classic and you're just caught off guard. And it's the universe shining, reminding you there's always more in each moment. I did my answer. You don't get off the hook though. What's your answer on what?
I love that. But as you're speaking, I'm feeling the magic of the Amrit Vela, the pre-dawn hour, and the dawn, and the rays of sunshine, and then the the sunset, where we get the same thing. No wonder those are the times where we as human beings are really drawn more into magic, into presence, into connection. Like,
Mm.
so for sure, that's a reminder of radiance for me, and being connected to the feeling of my own truth is, and expressing from there feels like the very essence of radiance. If I can get into the place where I feel like I'm speaking from my truth, and it's not from my mind, acquired mind, it's just a communication from the soul. That to me is the brightest of radiance right there.
I like it. Okay, Ananda Mayama, she's fun and she is just, I don't know how to say it, love, hugs, amazingness. Here she is. She'll have an amazing reminder for us all. And what do you get?
It's a big blessing, a huge blessing. There's somebody who was in the constant remembrance of the divine,
And
not lost in separation, but really merged in that unity consciousness. Wow.
and I always thought I had one unique phrase that I was using for the last 13 years. I would say, and I say, remember to remember if you can remember to remember when you remember. to remember. And that's not actually original, because I was at a bookstore and a Tibetan Book of Dying, and there's a lot of them fell off a shelf, and there's nobody on the other side, and nobody around. There was no wind.
Oh, I love those
Yeah.
moments.
And I don't know if it opened to the page, but I swear there's a 1.5 page forward. So somebody could identify this in the comments one day. Songyel Rinpoche wrote the forward. And at the end, and I was like, there goes my only thing I thought that was original that I say. He says, for 35 years, I've taught my students remember to remember. And here you just talked about her being the embodiment of remembrance, which I'd not heard it put that way. Remembrance, the word before. As soon as you said it, I was like, Eureka. Can you take a chance on the next little mini exercise? No photos or anything like that, but if you did put a hand off camera, any which way, make a mudra any which way, have Joy and have Anandamayi Ma each choose a hand. Feel that vibration come in. And if you want to begin to close your hands and create another mudra, but as your hands are coming together, let their light intermingle. Start to see what you can see come between your hands. This is private to you, but allow it to well up and explode. And then you're going to get a beautiful bit of sharing with us that's going to take us somewhere. And if anybody hasn't figured out, Kia has an enormous heart and shares big time, and she's not shy. Okay, what do you
The
get?
underbelly of my house is sharing right now. It's like this.
And it's not a 4.0.
No, it's all kinds of clanging and it's like plumbing happening down below. So there's the metaphor right now.
God, that's awesome. Can you share a little bit more, because you're good at just switching into the flow of life itself?
Can I share well, what I was feeling well, no, that's gone now.
Into the next moment. Whoops. I talked.
Right? Isn't it like that though? Oh, there's one of my big insights lately. You know, in Japji, the great poem set forth by Guru Nanak, the first of the Sikh gurus, he speaks to the worlds upon worlds upon worlds that we have access to. And I always thought, oh, those are all the worlds upon worlds, you know, that you have to be in a certain state to access. And okay, well, maybe this time, lifetime, maybe next time, you know, when I'm thinking from my limited mind, that's what I'm thinking. And then, um, and then I really got it one day when I sensed, you know, our perception of the moment is is framing everything. And there's actually infinite perceptions that we could have in any moment. There's infinite windows into the moment that we're having. And whatever you're choosing as your window is coloring your experience of the moment. And so having the flexibility to be able to shift your perception. Oh, you're feeling challenged in the moment. Well, how can you approach this from a different space, place, awareness? You know, that kind of thing. And so that was a fun little aha for me, because I realized, you know, for example, if you're having a bad day, you tend to keep looking at whatever is happening through the coloring of your bad day. But if you're having a challenging day, but you choose to look at it with subtle amusement, or you try to find the joy in it nonetheless, or you choose, I don't know, to see just through a different window, then your experience is different. So your creation in your life is different just because of the lens that you chose to look through. I hope that makes sense.
Oh, it totally did. And I'm going to read a quote. In 1992, I moved to New York City for the first time. Didn't leave until 2010, I think, 9, 10. And it was sort of like being Kurt Russell escaped from New York. I wanted to leave, but you know, you got a big job. It's a big vortex of fun. And enough people coming in from around the globe. It's cool. But I had like a diary that wasn't a diary. And I wrote down all these quotes just out of college. And here's one of the quotes. And I ended up putting these on the wall of a house, the first house I ever bought as an adult in 2007. And here's one from India, Siddha Katrappa, don't know the year, long time ago. And this is parallel to what you said, but if you don't mind taking it to the next level, I've had a Aikido sensei, Six Dan, on the show, who appeared in November 2024. And I feel very much like we're talking with another one, but on the energetic heart front, that you're able to take anything and move it to the next level so that we can appreciate it. So here's that quote. Whatever the yogin sees is his instruction, and realization that all he sees is unborn. That is the most excellent guru. Innocence is the way to realize non-duality, for here the effects of virtue and vice are one.
Wow. Can you read it again?
Yes. And I've only read this like 500 times, so I should have it memorized by now, but not yet. Whatever the yogin sees is his instruction, and realization that all he sees is unborn. That is the most excellent guru. Innocence is the way to realize non-duality, for here the effects of virtue and vice are one.
Oh, isn't that amazing? Just to feel that divine instruction, And that is it, actually. Whatever you see, that's precisely in alignment with what I was saying. And if you're seeing from unity consciousness, then what you're seeing is going to be expressing that. And so that's your choice in the moment, isn't it? And so for me, this is where getting to know the acquired mind is so important. If you can catch and be able to see what consciousness state you're viewing the moment in and make a decision to shift it, maybe to just greet it from the perception of gratitude. Can I see this moment through the eyes of gratitude? And then how is that going to change my experience of the moment? Because what I'm choosing to see is what is manifesting on a subtle level. That's where I would go with that.
I have two follow-up questions. One is, are you offering classes that have nothing to do with yoga? That are instructive somehow?
Everything that I do has to do with yoga. So I would say no. I'm curious though.
They can come to you and sit, and it's like all the other teachings in Asia. Yeah. And then if you were to spin the wheel and pick another figure, not Anandamayi Ma or Joy, but like an angel named Min, a Charlotte, or another India figure, do you have one more figure you'd love to pick? It could be Sri Shirdi Sai Baba, the Divine Mother. Who would you have fun with interacting with right now? No pressure.
I mean, always the Divine Mother. I
Okay.
feel for me when I could shift my relationship from the masculine sense of God, which so many of us grew up with, and experience this creative intelligence of life as like the great mothering, nurturing energy. I think it opened me up in a different way to receive and to not feel so separate then. So I love I love to relate.
And I'm looking for the image I use for the Divine Mother, but I am going to punt in 1 second. It's a statue, and I have too many photos. I can't find it.
Then we
I'm
can
gonna
go
have you.
elsewhere.
Can you close your eyes and just have her come in? This will be fine. Third eye it. You'll see her full on. Let her do her own thing. Yeah. What am I thinking? A statue is not as much fun. Not that we're judging it either. But I am going to snap out loud for absolutely no reason because it's zany. And if anybody wants to do this, just, sit still, go real rigid, and then let go of that. So you get over that. Breathe more if you want to breathe through the mouth. It's like turning up the volume in a 1970s stereo receiver component, the big ones, but that have those wheels that if you just turn it a couple millimeters, you're like, ooh, fancy Mercedes drive. And your volume can always go up more. So you can enjoy more, relax more, allow more, share more. Love, always. I'll blow through the microphone thing, the speaker thing, that whatever it is that's above my laptop. Have India come in and the highest vibration of India catch a little jungle sparkle in your nose, and we'll see you react on that. That'll be fun. But meanwhile, you're getting a direct experience. Ignore me. Hear that deity tiger roar in the distance that also cracks you up? And did you get a little on your nose? I didn't do it. Yeah. Okay. Now, what did you get with the Divine Mother that you can share? A lot of this stuff's personal. But what would you like to share? You're incredible. We're going to have you wrap this up because you've done a million shows. I'm going to obviously extend an invite to you to come back, once every 6 months, whenever. We'll talk about that after the show, and hopefully we get you back on a lot. What do you get? What are you going to share with us?
What I got was an attunement. And I think as I focus on that attunement, it's just like the presence of God, Creator, Divine Mother, Great Spirit, wholeness, pure awareness, whatever a name for that is, it's an attunement. And so when you said that, I felt myself under this banyan tree in India that I've meditated under for hours and hours and hours and hours and weeks. And I felt the level of attunement that I feel when I'm sitting there. And I use that or the shrine as my internal attunement. I take myself there and I feel it. And to me, everything in life is an attunement. And consciousness is the highest attunement, pure consciousness, pure awareness, pure love. And so when I think Divine Mother, that's what I feel myself to that attunement. And so there's the next level of drilling happening under me. You may not hear it thanks to Zoom. Isn't that
Not at all.
amazing?
Zoom's
Zoom is
great.
so good.
If you don't mind getting a yes from the Tiger, Divine Mother, Sri Shirdi Sai Baba, somebody's going to step. Anandamayi Ma might step up. Lakshmi, just here, you've got this. I'm going to make a final offer of something fun. We've already blown sage. Ooh, I will show my light first, if that's okay. You don't have to show yours, but see something against the background. It'll be blue, green, yellow, whatever lights, colors that lights are, or the other way around. And then ask for more. Because if you're not asking for more, you're not a red-blooded American these days. So I'm just teasing.
I
I'm,
love it.
I'm
I
going to put
love
this
it.
up, and everybody gets a dad joke. I'll try to do one. I got it. Why did the rabbit fall down that well? He didn't see that well. So people can see light between my fingers. Be in your heart. Breathe, relax, open your mouth a little bit. If you need to set your intent, why not do it? Angels, get me out of my head into my heart. Help me see with all of me. Amen. Rock and roll. Om Sairam. Thank you. Anything works. What light do you see between my fingers? No try Yoda, always try Archangel Gabriel. It's not about words, just be in the big heart. And Kia, what are you getting?
Like pure radiant light that has a rainbow in the ends.
Oh, you're the best. You get to come back for sure. Okay. Now ask who's volunteering to step forward. Lakshmi, Divine Mother, the Tiger, anybody. It could be Anandamayi Ma. You might hear three of us, all of us. But then make a request. Once you have that locked in, ask for hearts. Ask for your banyan tree to show up. I'll go wider to make room for a banyan tree. Ask for something out of light. A lot of guests have been getting a lot of stuff. Butterflies. Someone got an angel. Two people got phoenixes, hearts, if I didn't say that already. What are you getting for some sort of an object or just extra light? You might get it in your room, by the way. I don't want to freak you out. But left and right of you, you could get sparkles all around just to catch you off guard. If you don't ask, you don't get. So allow, ask, and receive for everybody out there. And Kia, what are you getting now? Okay.
Well, I got like some kind of spirit, like you might get in a fire ceremony when, like African fire ceremony, or my perception of like some kind of spirit being.
A puja.
Yes.
I love it. Very cool. Okay, what do you want to leave us with? Take us in any direction, but look, everyone is traipsing the path. They don't think they're on their unique life journey. They've been there the whole time. It's like a good Michelob commercial or Miller Time. Where you're headed, you've always been there. Where you're headed, it's Michelob, except it's your heart and it's your openness and it's opening openness and it's more love. The second you want to pay attention, it doesn't take a car accident, near-death experience, or a trip to India to come to that self-realization or actualization. You teach this stuff. What's this all about again?
I think you just nailed it. It's gosh, it's learning what your access point is to that felt experience of self, of truth, so that you can live by that. And then it doesn't matter what you're doing in your life. If you're washing dishes or taking the kids to school or you're at work or you're on an airplane, you have that connection. And to me, I feel it through my heart center. I feel that when I drop into my heart and I just take a few breaths, if I've gotten momentarily very caught up in the doingness of life and the busyness, then I just bring myself back and I feel that resonance at my heart and I start to tune myself again. And that's it, to cultivate this continuity of awareness. There's a great word in Sanskrit called smriti, and it means like the remembrance, to maintain the remembrance of self, of wholeness in all of our interactions. And the great mantra shared in yoga, Om Purnamida Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamiva Vashishyate. And it means from wholeness comes wholeness. And when wholeness comes from wholeness, wholeness still remains whole. So when we can learn to stay in pure awareness, in a sense of wholeness, every thought, every word, every action that's coming from that place is going to be informed by wholeness. Everything we create is going to be informed by wholeness. And so it's going to liberate us from the constant wheel of suffering and bring us so much joy and bring us the capacity to be spreading that joy and wholeness to others. So when I think of skillful living, I think of cultivating a state of wholeness, doing what I need to. For me, it's daily yogic practice, daily pranayama meditation to maintain my attunement, so that that attunement is what is driving my day. And I can quickly bring myself back if I get out of tune, and follow then the wisdom that's flowing from within, as opposed to trying to figure life out, make life happen, fix the problem. Just find my heart, get my attunement to love and connection, and then allow the moment to happen. So yeah,
Well,
something
we've
like
recorded 250 episodes, and I've never had a teacher of remembrance and my ears going off a high pitch. Never had a teacher of remembrance and skillful letting go and attunement come on the show. So this has been wonderful. You're wonderful. And thank you for being on Angels, Positivity, and Love.
You're wonderful. Thank you. You really bring so much joy. And I'm moving to my next, whatever the next thing is, infused with joy. And the reminder, speaking of remembrance, the reminder of how important our attunement to joy is, to playfulness, lightness of being. So thank you.
Thank you, Kia.
Yes.